The other way is, you know, if you smoking the stickiest little icky, you know what I'm saying? In any cartoon, you gonna know that food comes next. I like to think of Scooby-Doo and the Mystery Van because they was all getting high.
They might have been high.
Scooby Snacks was the first edibles. We just never accepted that. What's going on, fam? This is KR Jones of the Off the Strength podcast, and I am here to tell you to like, listen, subscribe, and if you're feeling freaky, visit offthestrength.com. That's where you can go and get more information on us. That's where we can link, we can build, we can connect, and let's make this thing work.
You had that first day back at the gym not too long ago, man.
You talking about me?
Yeah.
You talking about me?
Yeah, how'd that feel?
Man, it felt like a re-emergence of your boy. We always talk about being veterans, but also having the grace to be a beginner and being a beginner with veteran knowledge all over again is that space that I was in. Older you get, man, the less work needs to be done to maintain, but that maintenance work still needs to be done.
What's the most embarrassing shit you've ever done inside of a gym?
Most embarrassing shit I feel like for me, it's never like weight shit. It'd be like shooting at something. Like I was shooting at this model once, you know what I'm saying?
Dead on the rifle.
Well, back in the day. Now, to give you some context, like this woman, she played ball for Notre Dame back in the day, like in college. So she was like 6'4", flat-footed, but was a plus-size model. I used plus signs because she wasn't a twig. She had some meat on them bones, you know what I'm saying, right? Nonetheless, she was in the gym a lot. The young 20-something-year-old that I seen her, and I was like, hey, when you gonna let me crack that egg of yours? You know what I'm saying? Make some omelets, if you will. And
that's how you started? That sounds like a felony today.
I was young.
You should be arrested immediately.
I had a lot of charisma.
A Kyle 2 movement is getting started.
A lot of pizzazz, if you will. It was no action that followed. It was just some smooth talk that landed flat and went nowhere else. But that was like the embarrassment of like, hey, you know, later on, seeing her more and more, is like, my bad. I didn't mean to come at you like that, but I do appreciate where you was. Like, that was my embarrassment. Other than that, it'd probably be the ego lift, man. Like, I had a client one time. I was trying to get him to bench 220 on the flat bench, and he was like, man, blah, 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 talking all that jazz. I went into it, no warm-up, gave him 10 reps flat, but inevitably fucked my shoulder up because I didn't warm up. But I still gave him 10 pumps with that 225. And if you can't bench press 225, you're not a man, Tone. We discovered that a long time ago.
I was about to say, on the record right now, you're saying if you can't bench 225, you're not a man?
Yes.
You going into that cold today?
I could for one rep. I'm always get 2 reps out at best, no matter where I'm at in life. But yeah, I ain't giving you 10 no more off the cold shoulder.
That's
you know
what I'm saying. I don't know if that's we go back into that hero lifting, man.
Listen,
that'd be that highlight reel stuff.
If I'm 225 at minimum, I could push my own body weight.
There we go. I'm gonna get one of these off.
I can do a push up. I can bench 225.
I ain't mad at you, man. So most embarrassing moment that I caught inside the gym. This was back in my Gold's Gym era.
Okay.
I'm on the treadmill. I'm running, listening to music, in the zone. And I'm talking about like these are the old, not cool, new looking treadmills that'll have like all kind of safety precautions for you to not fall off and bust your ass.
For sure.
The treadmills also are not spaced properly in this gym.
So they was tight.
Gold's Gym ain't really care about all that extra
stuff.
We're
going to put 12 over here, line them up next to each other.
So it's prime time in the gym. I'm in there running, doing my best okay go motions.
Pause. Prime time means it was packed. Like at the club on a Saturday night.
There is no space between each treadmill and there's no open treadmill. So I'm in the middle, running, close my eyes for 2 seconds.
That's where you fucked up.
And that's where it all went down.
Proprioception is real, kids.
All of a sudden, I just remember hitting the back wall, and it's a hollow wall. So it was so loud. That shit echoed out. It was like, boom! So everybody on the treadmills proceeds to look back. A couple people stumble on their own time because they turn their head while they're on the treadmill at the same time.
Call it chain reaction.
So I tried to play it off. I just started acting like I was stretching. in the corner. Nobody bought that
At all.
But I had to save face on that side.
You bust your ass.
Oh yeah, just got to get off and hit the stretch real quick sometime, man.
Yeah, I'm very poised. I don't typically do no stunts like that. The no look on the treadmill is wild.
It was just closing the eyes for 2 seconds.
That's too long.
2 seconds, and it was here today, going tomorrow, man.
Yeah, that's tough.
What's good, everybody? What's good? Welcome back to yet another episode of Off the Strength, where we're giving you the inside look into all things wellness culture. I'm a trainer called Tony, and of course, with me, I have a gentleman of extraordinary league.
KR Jones is in the building.
That's right, folks. We are back. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of all type from near and far, you are now in store for a treat because it's the return of the variety show. That's when we give you our best foot forward. So hopefully you take your best foot forward. You do that two-step, that tango, whatever it is you need to do to make it on through the week with the best goddamn wellness information available.
Yay!
I had the little stumble over there, Brother Jones.
Yeah, to get the little rewind.
Put the thing down, flip it, and reverse it real quick.
There you go.
What's going on, man? How's the week been?
Man, the week has been heavy.
Okay, talk to me about it.
But in the best kind of way, brother. I was at home in Baltimore.
Okay.
I was at the hometown, and whenever I'm there, I get a chance to get up with Mom Dukes.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to get a nice movement practice developed with Mom Dukes.
Man, that's beautiful.
Listen,
round of applause for that.
Right? Like, I got her through some mobility with just household items. You know what I'm saying? Now, we often block our blessings, if you will, or delay our healing by waiting on props to do the work, Tone. Mm-hmm. When I tell you, instead of waiting on those props, we used what we had to get done what we needed to do.
Okay.
And it was a beautiful thing.
Man, I'm happy for y'all. Shout out to moms. Much love to moms on that, too. Anytime you get, the people that are the elder statesmen of the family to start to embrace this wellness, man, I got to salute that. I got to champion that every time.
Now, before we move on, I just want to put this as a small preference, right?
Mm-hmm.
My mother had a lack of range of motion in her shoulders.
Okay.
And this may sound simple, but she doesn't raise her hands or arms above her head.
Yeah.
Like, at all. Like, that's not a thing. Like, her day-to-day doesn't involve anything where she would lift her arm over her head.
Mm-hmm.
That's a natural motion of the shoulder. Just lifting her arms over her head was like mind-blowing to her because she doesn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I mean? And in that moment, we were able to unlock a greater range of motion in the shoulder. There wasn't any surgery that was needed. We didn't even use any weights. This was her own body weight, right? Mm-hmm. Something as simple as taking the shoulder through its natural range of motion and the full length was impactful.
Yeah, you got to understand why people start to have those ailments like a frozen shoulder or, low back chronic issues and that stiffness in the hip. And you start to see people of advanced age start to get smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
It's because their terminal range of motion, if you don't use it, you do kind of lose that situation.
You will lose it.
Yeah, and it could be something as small as that one little nagging ache and pain that you maybe feel when you're getting up out of bed, or maybe you feel it when you are like showering and you're trying to reach your back or something like that. And the fact that you feel that pain and you deal with that pain on such a regular frequency means that you will start to avoid that pain. Yep. And then over time, that range is just not something that's in your normal bag. So you be surprised at how easily that mounts up to you losing function.
100%. I couldn't have said it better myself, man. So to be able to provide space for that was a blessing within the week.
Man, I love to hear that, bro. I'm happy that you're out there really doing the thing that you love to do with the people that you love.
Beautiful.
Yes, sir.
How about you, man?
I did not have that same type of week, Kyle.
Okay, now.
I'm going to let you know, I feel like my week, to sum it up, was I could not gain any help for trying to try out here.
Okay.
I feel like at no point in time, all my attempts in trying were being rewarded or embraced by anybody that I was trying to help inside that direction.
Feeling a lack of support is what I'm hearing.
I was really trying to give to the needy, man.
Yo, I remember this story.
This is how the week started off. So on my way into the gym, I'm coming in, walk past, what's the PC term that we're supposed to use today? Displaced individual outside in front of in front of my gym, right? Walks up, first of all, foot in the boot. I'm already going to be empathetic to that.
Yep.
I understand this boot life. Oh, man, you all messed up out here.
Please, help me.
Legitimately. Hey, I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. I need something. So you know what? All right, let's go right across the street. It's a coffee shop right over here. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get you something. Make sure you get some food today. Make sure you get something hot.
Paint the picture of this coffee shop.
This coffee shop is directly across the street. It's in downtown Brooklyn.
Okay.
Directly across the street from the gym that I frequent.
Okay.
Neither one of these places is getting my stamp of approval just yet because they ain't cutting a check. But, you know, it was convenient. It was on my way to where I was going.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the thing that I was committed to.
It was convenient for you, but high class for some.
It might have been.
Okay.
It was just in the direction of where I was going.
You got it.
So I said, you know what? Hey, you come in here. Let's get you something to drink. Order whatever you want on the menu. I'm going to go ahead, pay for it, and then I'm going to keep it moving. So we get into the whole conversation. Now, as you were alluding to, this might be some kind of high-class place. This was a vegan coffee shop with a whole vegan menu.
It's a swing and a miss.
So we ordered the hot tea, milk and sugar.
What the disheveled
extra
is,
sugar.
It's not vegan.
Inside in there, you know, and then the next conversation comes in. What kind of menu y'all got? Before the woman finishes the sentence of, hey, we have a full vegan menu, the displaced woman said, nah, I don't need none of that. I don't want no type of vegan.
You can take your tofu
and keep it.
And shove it up your
so
tofu.
Like, wait, hold on. I'm looking at this whole thing. I'm like, how you gonna yell at me? After I'm trying to help you out. I don't eat that. I don't want none of this stuff. Just give me the tea.
I don't eat no damn tuna.
So I left all of that alone. And I want to tell you that was the start of a week that was proceeding the same way. I'm just like, damn, yo, I feel like every time I keep trying to show up and be this good guy, I keep getting the door slammed in my face, Kyle. But you know what? My back is to the wall, and I feel like I'm locked in.
Okay.
I ain't going to let it discourage me, man. Specifically, when we are just coming past this very point in time in the year where most people are quitting most of their New Year's resolutions already, my man.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working on getting my whole first quarter to move in a direction where I can start to put up these damn W's, bro.
Yes, sir.
And it's a commitment to different communication. It's a commitment to really embracing the skills that I want to see and embark on for all of the teams that I'm a part of. I try to live that in a daily commitment, and people be trying your boy.
Every time.
So that damn near was going to be the thing that I quit on Quitter's Day.
Okay.
It's like, y'all keep crossing the line, and I keep coming back to this. They keep calling me back, Kyle. I don't want to be
that. You ain't a killer, but don't push you.
Don't push me. It's really where I'm trying to go here, man. But you know what? I wanted to get back into the topic at hand, and I wanted to bring this into the Ask the Professionals this week, man.
What's the word?
So as we pass this Quitter's Day, where most people give up on their New Year's resolutions.
Blue Monday, we throwing that in the pot?
We could throw Blue Monday in there as well, but this was not Blue Monday. Why don't you give me a little bit of background about what Blue Monday is?
Blue Monday is the third Monday of January, so the third Monday of the new year. It is the year where most people quit whatever their New Year's resolutions and goals were. It's like, I went hard for 2 weeks, and on that 15th day, I quit.
So it sounded like it's kind of the same thing, just a different remix, different branding. I don't know who's putting out what, but you know what? I wanted to talk about some ways to get you back on track.
Yep.
So I wanted to ask the professional this week, Kyle, what are some of the ways that you think that you can get back on track in this early part of the year when you just start to stray away from your goals?
You got to pick it up. Nah.
Take me through it.
So in order to get back on track, you first have to identify where you fell off and start to unpack what led you down there. A lot of times, like you said, it's just a commitment. I want people to take the time to understand what a actual commitment is and not this flirting behavior that has grown a lot more acceptable these days, if you will, right? A lot of times people flirt with the idea of getting in shape, or they flirt with the idea of having a workout routine, or even flirting with the idea of having a regimented food schedule. I'm a meal prep this week. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But oftentimes don't succeed because when you flirt, you're not committing. You know what I'm saying? You just testing the water. You're not really going for a swim. And that's a huge difference between someone that is calculated and getting laps in the pool, or you just sticking your feet in and observing everybody else doing the work that needs to be done, right?
Absolutely. And I would champion that by saying you can't judge somebody's middle or end by your beginning.
Yep.
That's a lot of places that people get jammed up inside there, man. So one thing that kind of resonates with what you're saying is finding out what's standing in your way. That's that real self-assessment. We talked about that on a previous podcast. You're like, what's going on? Here's my goal. What went wrong? Let's really get down to the truth for the situation.
The nitty gritty.
Once you unlock that, you can adopt something that I would call a growth mindset. Now, seeing defeat come across you and you kind of just get stuck in that rut. Sometimes when you think negative thoughts, you're going to keep all of that negative energy around you, and that's going to actually be something that's going to discourage you from making the attempt at whatever the goal was to begin with.
Fact.
So you have to have positive outlooks on where you want to go. You have to be able to envision yourself accomplishing that goal, start to really take yourself through what the feelings and the emotions are that are surrounding you accomplishing that goal, and that should be something that can help you aid along the way. And then last but not least, Brother Jones, I'm going to say you got to set some of these bite-sized goals.
Yes.
You got to make sure the goal, we not starting.
It's attainable.
Yeah, we not starting on
Smart goals.
smart goals. So
Small victories.
break that out for me. What's the smart goals for?
Smart goals are specific, measurable, attainable.
There we go.
Realistic.
Uh-huh.
And the time in which it's going to take for you to actually do this on a real level. That means taking out a sheet of paper, writing down what these things are, and actually sticking to it. I think that goes a lot further than you just thinking about it in your head, but actually visualizing yourself in that space too.
I appreciate that breakdown, Brother Jones. It reminds me a little bit of something that I've also been getting asked from some of the fitness professionals that are out there.
Really?
Now, something that keeps coming across, people see the lives that we live, and they see that we have the fortune of being around a community of people that we can collaborate with at any given time.
Yep.
Realistically, it's never really more than a phone call or text away to get us to collaborate or be around somebody that's doing something that's of note and be in service of and even amplify and take it to a different direction with people in a lot of different areas of life.
Yep.
But you can't take that for granted, and we shouldn't just assume that everybody has that same skill, Kyle. So one of the things that I want to know is how can fitness professionals start to find a way to really build holistic alliances and wellness ecosystems that they can benefit from this year?
Man, I want to shout out the good homie Zeus, man, and his
House of Train,
right? And I want to say that because he was really big when he came on the pod about the New York specific wellness scene not being as, welcoming as it should be. And I disagree to that. I feel like it could be that space if we allow it. And like you alluded to, man, we've been fortunate enough to have a community of people that is only a phone call away to get something moving in the right direction. But in order to get into that space, it requires a suppression of the ego, right? It requires you to stop being a master and be a student in somebody else's class, right? Show up and support those who you feel are doing the caliber of work that you want to see. And that's when the collaboration takes place, is me showing up in someone else's space and just being a student in that space and not having to be the top dog, so to speak, right? Like, I might be a little further along than everyone else in this class, but I still show up and get this work like anybody else. The more that happens, the more the community builds.
Yeah, the only thing that I would add to that is don't be afraid to make the offer. If you see something that you think somebody in your community or in your surroundings that is a contemporary of yours is not doing that you can offer, that's the first way to kind of build that relationship. Because if you're in service of the people that you genuinely care about and you want to support, chances are the fact that you can come through and actually give that support will lend to you having that same thing reciprocated to you in the long run. So I say if you see the space, make sure you can fill it and, bring what you have, bring your talent, bring your energy, bring your ambition to somebody else's problem and see what you can do with that.
Bring your game, not your name, Tone.
Hell yeah, man. All right. Now, on that note, Kyle, I got to shift gears. I want to get into some of this good.
Uh-huh.
I want to get to some bad.
All right.
And Kyle, I don't know if, Hassan, I'm still plugged in today. Okay, never mind. I want to talk a little bit about some of this ugly. That's right. It's time for this week's episode of Ripped from the Headlines. And Brother Jones, typically I'm reporting to you from an article that I've seen and perusing the internet in some way, shape, or form.
We know you like to read Jezebel and all those other publications.
I'm a person who has an acquired taste, is what I would like to refer to it as, and don't shame me.
Acquirement, if you will.
I got to be able to talk to the people out there, Kyle.
Okay.
You got to be able to relate. Now, this did not come from any news article. This came from my perusing the actual neighborhood, the same very neighborhood where I was turned down by that woman who did not want to accept my kindness or my generosity.
No vegan food for her.
There was also I can't call it a deli or a bodega in real time. It's just not in my New York-ism to refer to that.
Was it a corner store?
It's a corner store, but it's a little bit more elevated. Let's say that.
For sure.
Okay, New York City folk, you will know the difference between that. You got your gourmet delis, you got your all the way through to the kind of like low-grade supermarket.
It's a mini-mart.
It's a mini-mart.
It's a mini-mart.
I popped into this mini-mart, Kyle. Now, I have been somebody in New York City that has been born and raised, and I knew that we lost this fight for New York authenticity a long time ago.
Yep.
Kyle, the nasty business of gentrification is hitting the shelves in a way that I did not expect.
Really?
I'm going to go ahead and show you this image right here, and I want you to just zoom in on what's going on in that image, and please tell people what that is that you're seeing.
Stop it right now. Ladies and gentlemen, what I am seeing here is some amazing marketing on a cult classic that we all knew to love as nutcrackers. Bust your lip, take a sip, nutcrackers.
Yes.
You know, the good brother on the A train that used to sell them, he used to also sell porno tapes, DVDs, Pampers if he was too late, maybe even condoms if he was lucky that night. But nutcrackers in a mini mart on a shelf. For the layperson out there,
gentrified nutcracker, by the way.
A nutcracker is an illegal beverage that you buy on the street.
Bathtub gin is what it is.
You don't know what alcohol is actually in this nutcracker. It's for you to take a guess at.
The flavors come in red, blue.
They come in colors.
Purple. No, I said flavors. Orange. And if you're feeling real zesty, there's a coconut somewhere.
Yo, let me get a coconut in the red. Stat.
Okay, so I will bet all the money that I will ever see for the rest of my life that nobody that actually has come across a nutcracker in their whole long-legged life is behind this brand, Kyle. I had to put this in the ugly to start the week off.
The label
this is what I saw.
Is one of those stickers when you in a group that says, hello, my name is.
And they got the graffiti writing on there. It is appropriation on appropriation on appropriation. I just had to put this out there
I never in my long-legged life would have thought I'd seen a nutcracker on a shelf. Because when you buy these, ladies and gentlemen, it is sold on the beach, like in any kind of public setting where there's an
concert
event.
Venues.
Yeah, concert, any event that's taking place, there's a nutcracker person that has a what do you call that?
It's the cooler.
The cooler that they dragging around. It might be a book bag. It's some kind of place where they have all of these, and you just kind of pick from there. That's wild.
Yeah.
They taken away from street vendors.
That's what I'm trying to say. The early entrepreneur in New York City is now starting to lose their business over here, Kyle. I was disgusted.
Last time I bought a nutcracker might have been in one of them Soul in the Horns or you know the party in Fort Greene.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
The Soul Summit. That's
Soul
what it
Summit.
was. I
Okay.
bought a nutcracker at the Soul Summit.
Yeah, you might get a little crunchy earth granola nutcracker.
It was years
over
ago.
there.
Yeah, it wasn't no time.
It'd be a hibiscus
No
nutcracker.
time in the present. Yeah, for sure. You might get a little herb in yours.
Yeah, exactly. Something on that level, man. Speaking of herb, though, I got to move into this next segment. This one is another one that hit close to home because I saw this week Weed Maps put out an article this week about why does weed make you hungry? And they are breaking down the scientific study behind the munchies, Brother Jones. Now, I feel like, as somebody who is
That's a given.
Well, if you know why it gives you the munchies, why don't you break that down for me, my man?
Man, first and foremost, you got to get into your appetite as a whole and understanding the role that weed plays in giving people appetite. That was one of the first reasons weed actually got approved as medical cannabis for people is they didn't have an appetite, so they would smoke weed to get the munchies.
Let me interject for a second.
Okay.
So you are referring to the effects that happen on the endocannabinoid system.
Absolutely.
The endocannabinoid system does have a role in controlling hunger. So you have two different types of cannabinoid receptors in the body that stimulate hunger, and this is what Kyle is talking about specifically inside of those patients who were experiencing wasting. People gave them in cancer treatments, they started giving them cannabis, and you're starting to see those appetites increase. Go ahead, Jones.
Yeah, that's one way. The other way is, if you smoking the stickiest little icky, you know what I'm saying? In any cartoon, you gonna know that food comes next. I like to think of Scooby-Doo and the Mystery Van because they was all getting high.
They might have been high.
Scooby Snacks was the first edibles. We just never accepted that.
Never put the
But when you carry
together.
the one, that's when you realize, oh, they was all getting high solving mysteries.
So the POMC neurons help you stop producing the compound that makes you feel satiated, right? So once that goes off, you start to have that hunger pang and you start to really start craving things that are on the higher extremes of what taste is. And it makes food actually taste better, right?
Yep.
The downside to that is, though, we talked about the benefit for people who need to eat.
Yep.
Downside of that is people are starting to put a lot of weight on by investing in the cannabis game and they're not really knowing. There's starting to be a weed shop on every corner, and the amount of weight that people are putting on by indulging in this munchie game and not knowing what to do is starting to become a problem, Kyle. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how you can circumvent some of these issues over here. I feel like it hit close to home.
Saturdays, 10 a.m. Frequency movement. That's where we smoke and then flow. So you won't have any of these problems that Tony was talking about. Once again, that is Saturdays at 10 a.m. Frequency movement. Shout out your boy KR Jones. Come flow with me. Continue, brother.
So you're saying that you can consume cannabis without getting the munchies?
I would say, in my humble opinion, it depends on the strand that you're smoking, right? Different strands will bring out different things. So whether it's a sativa, whether it's a indica, whether it's a hybrid, that will dictate where your munchies will follow.
So let me pause you for a second, because there might be some credence to his high science, folks.
Okay.
The level of CBD content is something that will play a pretty big role on whether or not your appetite is going to be stimulated. Now, CBD is the co-regulatory compound that comes with THC. The problem is, when you smoking that gas, so to speak, we have bred some of these strains to have way higher THC to CBD ratios. So one of the things that you can do is take CBD supplementally if you're feeling like you're getting a little too hungry in that space, and that should help you down-regulate. The other thing that I would suggest is that you get healthier snacks to keep around the house. You know, you still want to make sure that you maintain some level of moderation with the healthier snacks. And the last thing I would say, try cooking, because the time it takes for you to have to cook is going to be something that spaces out. You just force feeding yourself in the deepest of that, that munchie game, man.
I would agree to all the above, because one thing that I think we don't take into consideration when cooking is you have the ability to make it however you want. Like, you can have it your way, and it's up to you to expand your taste buds and palate in that regard. The only thing that I would add to your healthy snack list is, man, I went back and had a green apple today. It's been a minute since I ate like an actual apple, and I was finishing it on the subway on the way here, and this lady was looking at me like LL in the video. You know what I'm talking about?
You was eating an apple like that on the subway.
Listen,
filthy, bro. That's disgusting.
I'm not saying I was eating the apple that way. I'm saying that's how she looked at me as I was eating my apple, because I don't know the last time she's seen a black man eat a fruit.
That's
disgusting. All I'm saying.
That's a sick.
Like, who do you love? Yo? Yeah,
we gonna put that emoji inside here. That's how you was eating on the train.
Listen,
that's a flagrant foul, bro.
It's not me. I'm telling you, that's how she looked at me.
We gonna be moving on, bro.
Okay.
And just like you moving on, Tiger Woods is moving on.
That he is, from Nike. Shout out to him.
Tiger Woods is ending a 27-year partnership. He has made over $500 million in payments with the Swoosh company over there, and billions have been generated in sales. Kyle, what are your thoughts on this lucrative endorsement deal coming to an end? Historic man, Tiger Woods.
I got a lot of feelings. First feeling is, man had the good swing. He ain't never had swag, bro. You ain't never looked at Tiger Woods and been like, he put that shit on, right? Like, so I can't say he revolutionized the golf swag.
Nah,
because he didn't.
The dry fit long sleeve underneath the golf shirt is a nasty look.
Of course it is.
In every category.
It's very pedophilic.
I'm not doing that. They're not putting that on nobody. That's the cut mark right there.
I'm just saying. It's very not becoming is what I'm going to say, right? That's number one. Number two, I want to say it again shows you the business side of the business, right? Like, just because someone has built a legacy around a brand does not mean that brand cares or respects that person's work that they put in to build said brand. The same thing is happening with Jordan. If you saw, he's not renewing his Nike contract, and the Jordan brand continues to be separate from the Nike entity, right? Like, it's a lot of behind the scenes movement that's taking place. I always talk about Scottie Pippen and the up tempo. That Air Nike that everybody calls Pippins ain't even really Pippins. Like, he gets no check from that. That's crazy to me.
I mean, it goes back to highlighting some of the nature of these early contracts coming to light in this new modern era.
For sure. The woke era, if you will.
Well, you had no business asking for ownership of the brand if you weren't at that level, which is actually the surprising thing for me and Tiger Woods in this instance, because I would think that he would be one of those people that they would want to give that legacy or lifetime kind of contract.
It's been a rocky relationship that they didn't have.
Well, in that direction, I think it's also speaking to just by and large where Nike is shifting its emphasis. You know, the era of the single person being the superstar is coming to an end. You're not going to see
them days is over.
The one athlete dominate a whole category anymore. There's too many options. There's too many things that people would identify with and want to emulate and follow. So having that dominance that they've had is going to be something that I think is actually starting to pull back a little bit. And it's more indicative to Nike's moves that are also coming out in what the wellness industry is doing. So if Nike is starting to shift some of their priorities from the base reason why you know them in the apparel side, guess where they're next going to start to set their sights, Kyle?
On the people.
You got to believe that they're moving into this health and wellness industry, Kyle.
Yep.
This $1 trillion industry that we're approaching is now going to start to have more of the swooshes inside there, man. So I don't know if you saw that they opened up the Nike training studio in West Hollywood this week.
That's some nasty time over there.
It actually looks pretty solid, man. I'm not
bet
going to lie
it
to you.
would.
They put all of their Nike training equipment inside of the spot, and it's, again, showing that Nike is positioning themselves to make up for where some of these other apparel companies have missed the mark. So apparel companies have been trying to get into the health and wellness on the manufacturer side for a couple of different attempts, and Nike has seemed to take the best position to let everybody else figure out where they were going to go. Look at the places where you have the highest amount of growth. In particular, the manufacturing side of the game, there's only but a few short amount of brands that don't have the same kind of resonance that a Nike would have for the same demographic. So I'm paying close attention to what's happening in there. If they're deprioritizing these big athletes, moving more into base level health and wellness, it looks like they're trying to target the everyday athlete, Kyle. So
everyday athlete, they're going to have the supplements out pretty soon. In West Hollywood, it's not really like the BBL kind of town. It's more of the breast augmentation and the lip injections, if you will, over there.
I feel like they could afford whatever Nike is doing over there.
That's what I was getting into, is like that area specifically is a very rich area,
it's up and coming. But I'm going to tell you, just like that part of California is up and coming, I saw something else coming out of California that was not necessarily too becoming, Kyle, and it's going to take me into my next segment over here. Did you see that California would now allow for toilet water to be recycled into drinking water?
It's going to be a no for me, dog.
That's exactly what I said. The shit is getting out of hand, Kyle. Now, I'm going to look into...
I mean, we in a drought, and we just going to be in that drought.
And this is why they're starting to look into alternative reasons to take wastewater and recycle that wastewater into actually potable drinking water. Now, I can't tell you that this is going to be one of the places that I'm going to run to and try to be the most earth-friendly, the most, environmental-friendly person. If somebody's telling me they taking the toilet water and translating that into my drinking water, that's going to make me buy as many bottles as I possibly can from here on out whenever I touch down in L.A., bro.
That's crazy.
So I had to throw it out there, man. And the last thing that I'm going to comment on in this week's rip from the headlines on my side, Kyle, looks like the food industry is trying to fight back and defend themselves for the usage of these ultra-processed foods. So there was an article that came out this week where a couple of different manufacturers are posting out and commenting against the World Health Organization's report that ultra-processed foods were wrong for you. There are, believe it or not, more and more people that are trying to lobby and prevent the advertisements of the impacts of these foods that we talk about every week on this podcast. They're trying to prevent people from putting out bad information against ultra-processed foods. So first things first, ultra-processed foods are responsible for about 81% of the levels of diabetes that you find in adolescents. The inactivity is somewhere around 70% of the people who are consuming these ultra-processed foods also don't move at all. So you're seeing higher than normal levels of the same things that we talk about all the time: diabetes, high blood pressure, and heart-related issues that are plaguing the people who are consuming the most of these ultra-processed foods and not getting any kind of activity. So the Food and Drug Administration is trying to change how we actually label some of these foods, if you want to call them that, and allow people to try to change some of the messaging on there and tell you that it's not as bad as it is. Now, this is when you start to see issues where big money is coming in to directly impact what health is going to be inside of neighborhoods by changing the messaging of what's going on. What's your thoughts initially on hearing some of this?
Sounds wild. The first thing that came to mind was, remember those truth ads about cigarettes back in the day?
Yeah.
And when you really unpack people that stop the spreading of whatever your message is about food and how good it is or how bad it is. It really makes you think on just what are we actually taking in, like, you know, where does the food from my local mini mart grocery store, where does that come from, and really just raising a level of consciousness in what I'm actually digesting, right? When you put an emphasis on that, I think you'll be surprised at what you can actually find out.
Yeah, so apparently it's almost 86% of the American diet is made up of ultra processed foods.
Yep.
And in this industry, the people who are responsible for the manufacturing are really trying to get into the position where they want to take this $1.6 trillion cost that we're spending on chronic diseases and put that right back into the bottom line for what they need to make. So you're going to see this fight start to fight all the way through. And this is what is going to land in my ugly this week, Kyle. What you got on the rip from the headlines?
Man, that was ugly.
That's, again, that article is from the Wall Street Journal.
Nobody likes that.
Front page news, Kyle.
We're going to find some good somewhere. The good that I did see this week, Brother Tone, I know you mentioned around the holiday time you wanted to get the family together.
Yeah.
For a nice little run.
Yeah, I lost all of that.
What I'm here to show you is I am showing you a young lady who was getting married and ultimately ended up getting her whole family out
do a fun run before
the wedding. Now, if you had to guess, for the listeners out there, the race of this young lady,
I don't know why you're playing these games.
Listen, if you had to guess the race of this young lady, then who would you say that it was?
I feel like everybody has equal opportunity to be healthy and well. That's what I'm saying. That's my story. I'm sticking to. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
We're doing it, and I would just want to ask you here, live and direct on the pod, if you could gather a group of us together for a good cause and a run, what do you think it would take?
I don't know if it necessarily needs to be a run. I think the real big impact is just getting people to commit to moving differently. Running has some different demands that not everybody's going to be, especially if we talk about a whole family. I'm not going to take for granted that some people don't even have an easy time getting up and going to the bathroom, right? But if we can get people to do something, the most minimal amount of just daily activity, I feel like that would be a huge thing. And what's it going to take? It's going to take a national campaign, bro. We got to really start to talk about what the pain is that we're feeling from people not getting up and doing a basic level of movement. People have to really start to personify that and put some names, places, and real emotion behind that. And, I think we'll finally start to wake up.
Speaking of national campaigns, are you hip to Megan Thee Stallion taking over the PF?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking PF Chang.
We definitely talking about the Planet Fitness commercial that rolled out, man. She is the queen of fitness.
It's only getting more and more that I'm seeing. Like, I keep seeing this outfit, and that was a tease of a Nike collab, too. So, again, to your point of removing the superstars, they're positioning back into music, and this is our first time seeing that music and wellness collaboration that we've been speaking about for I don't know how long, Tone. What, we going on 5 years now about such a thing?
Okay.
Nonetheless, transitioning into some bad. I digress. Are you familiar with Trader Joe's?
I definitely frequent such an establishment.
Now, the good listeners out there will know that Trader Joe's is one of those videos. Wow, all these videos that I saved are getting wiped off the web, which is kind of crazy. But Trader Joe's was called out for their products, right?
Okay.
Now, if you go to Trader Joe's, you'll see that a lot of their stuff is self-brand, right? You got the chips are Trader Joe's chips.
All their stuff is self-brand. Like, I'd say 90% of their things.
Yeah, there's a few things that aren't under that labeling, if you will. And the folks did a deep dive. It's like, all right, well, we got to do a taste test and see these other brands that Trader Joe's was having. So they went to like the nuts that they had. It was like different products that they found the origin of. It was like, oh, it's just this company with different branding. But it goes deeper than that because Trader Joe's keeps secrets of who these companies are that they're working with, right? And it was like, yo, like, what's really going on? when you get into the psychology of people were buying Trader Joe's brand things because they thought that it was healthier, turns out it's really just the same old stuff from other places relabeled.
Yeah.
How do you feel about buying a product that potentially is just relabeled as something else?
Well, white labeling happens in almost every industry.
Yeah.
So I could understand why a brand would want to have their own branded products out on the market.
Yep.
And I can understand why they don't want to necessarily carry the cost of producing all of those things. You wouldn't have as vast of assortment inside of Trader Joe's if they literally had to make everything that they got. So cutting the corners on that, I could see why that makes sense. And at the same time, at no point in time should you trust advertisers for what is assumed to be healthy. That's just like the other conversation. The advertiser's job is to get you to buy it. They don't care what's going on in your body. They don't care what kind of impacts it's going to have with you. Their one goal is their bottom line. So I do shop there. I can't say that I knock it. They got some amazing, tasty stuff. And at the same point in time, you got to shop alert to what your goals are, alert to where you want to be. And I think that's the biggest indicator of like what you put in your cart or not. Have some fun, but be responsible.
That's 100%. I'm thinking about it in the sense of vinyl album covers back in the day. Like, I don't care if you like rock and roll. You're going to like this album cover and then see if you like this music or not. That's what Trader Joe's is. I don't care what you want to eat. We're going to make it look nice and shiny for you.
They make a brand promise with that logo that it's going to be affordable. I don't know if they necessarily tell you that it's going to be something that's healthy. I can't tell you that that's any company I'm putting that much faith in.
I mean, it's a lot of folks, the wool has been over their eyes, and we seeing a lot.
Yeah, I think people just have to have new definitions for what health really is.
Speaking of new definitions and health, you know how much I love music, Tone. We just talked about music a little bit. I came across a battle rap between a father and son, Tone.
Nope, I don't want that.
And my man was rhyming.
Like I'm about to do your sister's hair.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm clipped up. I'm an attentive pops. You gonna get all the shots. I don't miss much. Arms lift up. Like you trying to get picked up.
Nope.
Try to sleep on me. All it take is one Z to get you sipped up.
He's battle rapping at a baby.
He's battle rapping at a baby. A white man, Tone, is battle rapping at a baby. And I bring this up because I'm thinking about battle rap as a whole.
Yeah.
It really comes down to theater at the end of the day. Like, that's really what it's about. It's dramatic. There's pauses. There's language and linguistics that take place. You know what I mean? Like, it really is a thing that is never appreciated for what it is. It's seen as, you know, it's a little rough around the edges, if you will. There may be some threats and some harsh language, if you will, but it has been culturally appropriated for TikTok, much like the nutcracker on the shelf in the mini mart, Tone, and that was just ugly to me.
Listen, I can't tell you that I am going to stand for somebody taking battle rap. To be honest with you, I never want somebody to rap at me. It's like that's just not my vibe. It's like,
we here in the booth now.
Yeah, I respect why people like
Get
it.
laid down.
But it's just not like, where are you playing at when you're not at the performance, right?
It's the theater, bro.
Yeah, I can see it.
Battle rap is the black version of the opera. You know what I'm saying? You're not getting that level of Broadway theatrics anywhere else.
I feel like I lived through the Def Jam poetry era, and I was appreciative of that. And now
this is a new level of poetry.
It's just not that. So I support whoever wants that, and they could find it apparently coming to a toddler near you.
Shout out to the battle rap legends out there. I'm sorry it had to come to this.
Yeah, yo.
It is what it is.
I mean, listen, just put a beat on, man. Maybe you can figure it out.
Yo, put a beat on, fam. Sliding out of that, we're going to slide into Raising the Bar segment this week, Brother Tone.
Okay, let me hear about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners from all type, from near and far, you're now in store to raise your bar. Brother Tone.
Yes, sir.
Man, you know me, I'm always reflecting on my class on Saturdays because that's the day we record. And the class takes place on that day, and I come in with the best energy because I get it from the people. Now, I say that to say that just yesterday, I checked my roster in class. I had 2 people signed up. The space holds 18 people. I only had 2 people on my roster, Tone. I was like, man, it's looking a little light. Let me throw a little quick promo video up and invite people to join me in this space, because I don't hold for granted that people forget. Instagram algorithm be doing whatever it does. Everybody that I know don't even be seeing the stuff that I be posting all the time. So I can't hold anybody to that standard, but I can still make that post in hopes of people seeing it. Nonetheless, I make that post. And not only did I have 2, but I had 12 people in class today, Brother Tone. Now, these 12 people that I had, I ain't gonna lie, man. It wasn't just any 12. It was 12 of my people.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't gonna hold you. It felt real religious in there. You know, I ain't gonna compare myself to JC, but I was in there turning sweat in the Sancerre, Tone. You know what I'm saying? I was getting people ready for the brunch. I was getting the sweat into the Prosecco. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, it was earned. It was black breath, if you will. The majority of the class was black folk.
Man.
Which is never
the case.
Never the case, especially where I teach at in the space that I occupy majority of the time. I'm teaching to, you know, the other side. But this side to this time today was full of melanated folks. Everybody hair was locked or braided or in a protective style. Like, we was just taking up space. And that breath, man, it was hot and steamy in class. Everybody knows that when you in a space with a good amount of black folk, the temperature raises a little bit.
I'm not condoning this.
I feel like that's definitely how it goes. You can acknowledge it now or later, but you've been in a space where it get about 12 of us in there and the forehead get a little moist. You're like, wait a minute.
You need to change your circles.
Listen, it's a little hot in here, right? I say all that to say that everybody's shirt was wet by the time it was all said and done. It really took me back to that bashment. You know what I'm saying? That stop banging on the damn furnace. Like, it was those type of vibes, but in a way more spiritual way, right? And again, I don't want to compare myself to JC.
We're not going to let you do that here.
But I might have turned, you know, some bread into a loaf, if you will. Aside from that, because I digress, the breath that filled the room was harmonious. Paired with the movement, everybody else was in there melting like butter on toast, Tone. It reminded me of the Trina Morris episode, right? And we often talk about that episode because I feel like in that one in particular, she talked about the power of being in the presence of black males breathing collectively and just being in that room. And I was like, yo, I heard it that day and always stayed in the back of my mind, but in today's class in particular, and even everybody else that said it after class was like, yo, this was beautiful. One of the homies was like, yo, I felt like I was in yoga church, and I stepped into heaven for a little bit and just seeing a lot of people that look like me, you know? And for me, I didn't do anything to create this community, so to speak. I just showed up and allowed the space for magic to happen. I got there, everybody was introducing themselves and greeting themselves, and it was a communal vibe that I myself can't take, you know, power of. It was like, yo, this is going to happen whether or not I had to be there for it to happen, obviously, but I didn't do anything to make it happen. It happened organically, if you will. And it really just brings me back to the breath component, right? That breathing, that intentional breathing and keeping it with your movement, right? Now, I know you a black man that like to breathe, Tone.
I do.
You know,
daily.
And you like to move from time to time.
Also daily.
I want to kick it to you for a little bit for your personal testimony on not only how often you breathe intentionally, but how breathing shows up in your life.
I definitely want to answer that. I want to go back through a couple of points that you brought up. The next thing that comes up is the conversation that you had with the brother that you said was telling you that it felt like you stepped into the yoga church or something like that.
Yep.
How'd that make you feel?
It felt a little weird at first because I always knew I had that cult energy in me. But to understand that people hold me on that level of esteem, if you will, was definitely humbling a bit too. So I'm appreciative of people feeling that way.
So you're appreciative of people feeling that way for the thing that you said that you didn't go out of your way to set up.
I did not.
What does it look like if you do go out of your way to set that up?
When I do go out of my way to set that up, I think I can bring more people in because the space that I'm occupying is definitely not one that anyone else can fill because I haven't seen it. There's plenty of other people that teach yoga. There's plenty of other black dudes with locks that teach yoga. But I don't think they're putting that same intention in the movement, in the music, and allowing the community to just be as I am. And I think that that's the difference.
That's a pretty powerful statement, man. So last thing that I want to put, and I'm going to go right back to your question, what has to happen to make that happen?
Oh, man, what we're going to do is we're going to be live streaming the class first and foremost. We're going to get a nice little box that comes with it. Right now, this is, proprietary information, if you will, but that box is going to have a J for you for every class for the month, right? So you're going to get about 4 Js, maybe 5, depending on how the month go. Only 4 in February for Black History Month.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But that J is going to be a nice flavor, and it's going to tell you how to operate the rest of your weekend. You're going to spark that before class, before the flight, get you elevated, and then you're going to tap into the class. That also comes with the playlist that week, so you too can be in the mix, in the movement, with the weed, with the vibes, wherever you at. You can be where I'm at.
I love that you have that clear of vision. And just as your brother, to champion you through that vision, the first thing I would say, start by letting people know a little bit earlier than the day before. That's the first step. You can get to all that other fly shit.
100%.
Just do that part. Now I'm going to take it all the way back to the breath side. Where does breath show up for me? Kind of like I just wanted to take some space and add some air to that whole statement that you just said. That's where my breath work is showing up. Because I want to listen attentively to everybody that is breathing and giving me their energy. And part of that thing that I really want to do in my calling is to try to make the people around me better. I want to put my breath into, yo, man, you can get to all of that other stuff. Move that one thing 5 days earlier, see what that result is just for 1 week. And remind people that you got to cut through that noise multiple times to get into the right position. Hey, it's not just a one-time conversation. I got to keep showing up for this conversation because now the congregation of this flow needs to keep hearing about this
church
more than just one time.
Ism.
Right? So in all of that,
Cathedral.
I try to find that space for my breath to take place where it's like, okay, I got to take a breath, pause my breath to hear what's going on around me. I got to take a breath to reset my intention in there. And then, hopefully I really do take that same energy and I transfer that into something that is a catalyst. Because ultimately, I think my relationship with where I need to breathe intentionally is done so with the intention on moving forward and leading. And all of that is leading is really just showing up and being in service of others. Yeah. So that's my biggest situation for there. And it takes some time to not be doing that to be able to really come up with the best type of strategy. So I got to be able to take a breath away from all of that shit. Mm-hmm. Most of the time that looks like a daily practice too. So those things happen in the early hours of the day. I'm up religiously at 4:35 because I need to get my me time in. That's going to be when I'm listening to books. That's going to be when I'm taking that time and really trying to set the priority for my day. That's when I'm writing out whatever is on my mind, my mantras, all the rest of that kind of stuff. I'm putting the breath into the work that I want to do. And I'm really trying to funnel that all into the direction of what the day is going to take over. If I don't get to do that, that's when I start to fall off of all my goals. So now somebody else is taking control of my day, and my day is not my day. I want to put those small victories up early in the morning, because then everything else is going to feel so much easier after I get through that. So that's the space that intentionality and that breath work take for me. I got to take myself first, put my mask on first. That's top of the morning. Take a deeper breath and be able to deal with and help whatever kind of challenges come along throughout the course of the day for everybody that I care about.
I receive all the above. My follow-up would be, can you speak on your movement practice in particular and the breath work that correlates with that?
Yeah, I am hyper aware of what my feelings inside of my body are today more so than I ever have been before. So I don't know if anybody who's listening to this has had a catastrophic injury, but I feel like when they did all the surgeries that I had after getting hit by the car on my bike, I feel like I'm sticking together, but the stuff don't feel like it's where it's supposed to be most of the time. So there are some days where I wake up and if it's like the weather's changing and all the rest of that stuff. I feel like some parts of me have aged way faster than other parts of me. So with that, first couple steps, if I'm not paying attention, I'm holding my breath. I'm guarded. I'm going into that same kind of situation where I can't put my arms up over my head because there's some constraint there. There's something that's blocking me from being able to do that. When I feel that pain now, I take breath into the direction of what that pain is. Because that pain is coming and telling me, it's a signal, hey, something's going on over here. So if I can breathe into that and try to explore where that's going to do, okay, now that's informing what my movement practice is going to be. Yeah, my right side's feeling a little tight today. Okay, we're going to do some stabilization exercises on this right side. Hey, I feel like I'm rotating a little bit more to the left. Okay, I'm going to do some anti-rotation in my workout today. I'm feeling like the back half of my body is not connected to the front half of my body. Okay, we got to do some full body movement patterns, and that's going to be something that's going to transition and inform my day-to-day practice. I do have an overall theme, but realistically, when I show up to the gym, I'm listening to my body. What do you need right now? How can I help? Okay, let me breathe into whatever this position is, and that's usually how it really manifests into the movement practice.
My man, couldn't have said it better myself. I'll just leave the folks with this. Take that time to breathe intentionally. It's an investment in yourself, and you won't regret it. Now, we're going to slide out of that, Brother Tone, and hopefully into a little relaxation.
Yes, my friend.
Into a relaxing responsibly. So please inform the good listeners of how you were relaxing responsibly this week, man.
Brother Jones, I took a ride out to the beach this week, my man.
In the winter?
Yeah, and it was relaxing. You know why? There wasn't no damn body out there on the beach at this point in time. It's a cold New York day.
No polar plunges?
No, I mean, it could have been further out on Coney.
They like to give it up like that out there.
I wasn't looking for them. I was just looking for my spot, my little slice of tranquility, just a little space on the beach. I could sit on the bench. I'm not getting in the water. I just wanted to look at the water and really try to understand what was going on. And that's also a space where I take that time to breathe a little bit, man.
Yeah.
I feel like being in a state of flow on the bike helps me process a lot of the stuff that's on the mind. I know we talk about that all the time on the show, but that's a part of my actual life. How I get from one place to the other place, I have the ability to do it in a fashion that allows me to clear all of my other processing in my mind.
A little moving meditation, if you will.
And as soon as I get to stop and I get to really like reflect on the stuff that I just worked through in that position, that's a relaxing situation, man.
You were sitting on the dock of the bay?
Watching the clouds float away, man. Just watching them.
Woo! I'm with you, brother.
How was you relaxing this week, man?
Man, as I alluded to before, I was in B-More. Got to kick it with Mom Dukes. So we went to go get dinner one night, and I actually sent you a picture of this. We went to a little mini mall that was over in Joppatown, and I feel like mini malls are really like a suburbia kind of thing. Like, it's not really a city thing. You got to go out into suburbia to get into like a little mini mall.
Okay, yeah, I see what you was talking about. Yeah,
and for sure. Once we got there, I saw a kettlebell club there.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and I went to go peep inside to see how they was really giving it up. My mom was like, you got to do this right now. Like, why are you looking at that? It's like, this is a wellness facility that I've never seen before. So, of course, I'm going to lay eyes on it. And when I went in there, Tone, it was the whites.
I mean, where were you?
I was in the white part of town, for sure. It was none of us. It was...
That's 60% of the nation, Kyle.
That's 100%.
That's what I'm trying to let you know.
You are 100% right. They are 60%. And whenever I see it, it's like I'm always happy that it exists so that more people can go to it. I'm always sad when it's never us in those spaces. Like, there's never enough of wellness spaces created with black people for black people. Like, we just don't have that. So I'm always aspirational in that regard. It was just like I had to look. I knew it wasn't going to be us, but I had to look anyway.
Well, I got a champion in the kettlebell club that we do know that is also founded by the blacks, as you were saying it.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to Ja.
Not to make it a black and white thing, but I got to make it a black and white thing. No.
Shout out to Ja Holla up there at Harlem Kettlebell Club for sure. And which part of that was relaxing for you, my brother?
Oh, I'm going to get to that. So the relaxation came in this same mini mall, right?
Okay.
Because we was there, as I alluded to, for dinner. We ended up going to this place called Mission Barbecue.
Okay.
Now, you know, I love a good barbecue from time to time,
all
right? So
you was on a mission.
I was on a mission, and it happened to be a barbecue mission. Now, this barbecue mission place, I'm giving a lot of love to because the food was amazing, but it was one of them Proud Boy spaces, if you will.
Hey, man.
It was a lot of flags, There's a lot of patches. There's a lot of salutes and honor and soldier, and it was like, fam, when you pull up to a space and the veteran parking is before the handicap parking, you know what kind of space you in. It was like, wait a minute, that's a veteran's parking spot, and then you got the handy. Okay, I see what y'all did there. So I was like, all right, this is one of those spaces, and I went in there judging this space, Tone, because I saw the memorabilia on the wall was like, this is not the Organic Thug space.
This is also, again, why I'm still confused as to why you thought something different was going to be over there.
Hear me out. It was relaxing because I went in there with this preconceived notion of what this space was going to be. I was like, all right, this is not my people. Mm-hmm. But it was actually quite welcoming. The staff was nice. You know, they didn't treat me other, which I appreciated. But, you know, the looks were deceiving. So I say all that to say that the food was nice. Mm-hmm. Despite the environment that I saw, I was actually all right in said environment.
Nah, I like that, man.
So I was able to relax and not settling in my preconceived notions, but to stick around and find out that, hey, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
You got to lay some of those things down, man.
That's how I relax.
Don't carry that burden with you, man. And look, that place, at least nobody put a fist in your eggs. So look at that.
Nobody ever put a fist in my eggs. We were moving that from the record. The fist was in homie grill.
It wasn't a foot in your French toast.
It wasn't on the grill. It was in the other homie grill. He had him up in the corner with a little chicken wing. Like, hey, you bitch ass nigga. It was one of those.
And look at what you got for supporting black business. So there, right? That's the moral of the story, Kyle.
I want us to do better as a people, which leads me to being hopeful, Tone. What are you hopeful for this week coming up?
Man, I'm hopeful that eventually we start to take back some of this land that we have ceded on the nutcracker front.
I need my 40 acres and a mule. I need land.
Yeah, on the front for all of these different products that I see keep coming out that definitely came from our community. I need to see more people moving back into the direction of ownership.
I thought it was going to stop at the chopped cheese, and I am sadly.
We are losing a lot of fronts over here.
Man.
I'm hopeful that, in the pursuit of doing good business, I'm able to spark and motivate people to do good businesses in the next upcoming quarter. And I'm ultimately hopeful for, too, that my persistence to trying to be this person that I want to be is not hindered by any of these damn charlatans out there that don't want to take my kindness and they mistaking it for weakness.
Yeah.
I don't want that, Kyle. What you hopeful for, man?
Not the charlatans.
Charlatans.
The Jezebels.
You know, I was trying to find a better word to land on that it wasn't going to be...
The boozy mooches?
I don't know what that one is. What you hopeful for, bro?
You don't know about the boozy mooch?
I don't know what that is. That feels racist. It feels real racist.
Man,
I don't know what that is.
I am hopeful for... I'm hopeful that people take the time to invest in themselves, Tone. I think we often, again, spend way too much time and attention outside of ourselves. And I hope that at some point soon, you take the time at this top of the year to reassess and reinvest.
Okay.
And pour into yourself.
I like that, man.
That's it.
All right, and if they wanted to keep up with us and find some of this more motivational information, and when they do check in, they want to see the full-fledged rollout for how they can keep up with the K.R. Jones yoga classes, Kyle, where are they going to be checking in on this week to find that information?
Well, you got to check in with us on Instagram at @offthestrength_, right? That's where you're going to see Tone, you're going to see me, you can visit Off the Strength on YouTube as well, too, now.
Hey, them shorts is doing numbers, man.
Them shorts is going up. Them shorts is looking real long. Pause. Yeah. Now, if you was in town in New York City, the greatest city in the world, you can come down to Rockefeller Center and visit us at Newsstand Studios, or you can visit on Instagram at Rockefeller Center or Twitter at Rock Center NYC.
That's right. I don't know, as a native New Yorker, if we can still hold on to the greatest city in the world. I've been looking around. I've seen a lot start to drop off. I think conservative Tony's starting to come into place. This place ain't what it used to be, folks. I'm going to let you know.
Damn sure ain't.
The Big Apple is looking a little brown. I'm feeling more and more like this apple is turning every damn day, Kyle. But they can check us out at
This apple got worms in it for sure.
It got a lot of craziness going on. I'm seeing a whole lot of sides of New York that I don't want to see on a daily basis. And it's like, all right, we bringing some of the 80s feelings back, and it's getting a little crazier and crazier, man.
We need Shane back.
Need to reintroduce that.
Introduce Shane back into the game.
I'm right there for it, man. Once again, it's been another fantastic episode of Off the Strength from Trainer Called Tony.
KR Jones.
Peace and much love to y'all out there. Until next time, we'll see you soon.
Peace.
What's good, everybody? I'm a trainer called Tony, and I am here from the infamous Off the Strength podcast, asking you today, listeners, viewers, wherever you may be, to please like, listen, and subscribe to our podcast. This is how we're going to continue to be able to deliver you the best goddamn wellness information out here. So if you want to keep hearing this and you want us to keep growing, you are a part of this show just as much as anything else. So please go to offthestrength.com. Make sure you check out our blogs. Make sure you check us out on IG. And if you're hearing this voice and you didn't hit that subscribe button, know that Kyle is going to come looking for you.
You got that right.